Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we see what's going on. Once again, redistricting is not looking as good as it should be looking for Republicans, and we're going to talk about why in this video. We try to stay positive, try to cover the positive news, but today is not a day that we make a fun video. It's a day we make a video that we need to make because in the state of Texas, federal judges have decided that the new map, the new congressional map, is unfair for some reason. Even though it was passed into law, even though it's technically constitutional, these activist judges are going to hold up this map. And it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and it's probably eventually going to be in a position where it overturns not only the judge's ruling, but also another case for Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is utterly ridiculous, by the way. But nonetheless, it means that for 2026, this could be a theft of the House. And even more so, when you realize that the Democrats are not going to back down because the Republicans happen to not be able to rectify an already broken system regarding the census, regarding Big Blue State redistricting, gerrymandering, even California in its old map before the map that just passed fit that bill. But it doesn't quite matter because these moronic activist judges are standing in the way, holding stuff up, tying it up in courts the same way they do with Donald Trump's agenda in order to just continue to defy the interests of the people that voted in these places. Nobody's holding up the map in California, as we know. Maybe we should try to find a way, but regardless, doesn't really seem like there's any justices in that circuit that would be able to do us any good. So we'll have to have a discussion about this for sure, but really quickly, got to tell you guys about my good friends over at Allegiance Gold. While the media is obsessing about Trump's tariff, something big is brewing and nobody's talking about it except right here. Because under new Basel III international banking rules, gold has officially been reclassified as a Tier 1 asset, placing it on the same level as cash and U.S. Treasuries. Translation, gold is money again. Just in the first quarter, thousands of tons of gold were quietly moved back to the U.S. from Europe. Meanwhile, central banks around the globe are stockpiling gold at record levels. That's not a coincidence, it's a signal. So if the world's most powerful financial institutions are hoarding gold, why aren't you? Don't wait. Call Allegiance Gold, the trusted experts that I've partnered with that have the highest ratings and accolades. They'll help you secure real physical gold and silver delivered straight to your home or placed securely inside your IRA or 401k. Go to allegiancegold.com/RedEagle or call 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191 and mention Red Eagle. You could be eligible to receive up to $5,000 in free metals, but only if you act now, because gold is freedom, gold is sovereignty, and as of now, gold is officially money. That's allegiancegold.com/RedEagle or call 844-790-9191 today. All right, guys, back to the video. So the state of Texas, they made a bold move, and Democrats try to frame this as Republicans are stealing seats. But then again, Democrats in New York, after you had an objectively fair map, decided to go out there, draw 2 to 3 more favorable seats. It's called mid-decade redistricting. That's what they did ahead of 2024. And on top of it, they, pushed through all these lawsuits to the Supreme Court and had RINO caves from people like Brett Kavanaugh to draw ridiculous districts like the ones, for example, that we see in the state of Louisiana that are out there, that are these weird oblong districts that you see, and the second one as well in the state of Alabama, because you have a thing called the Voting Rights Act, which has Section 2 in it, which says you must draw districts where there's an X amount of a specific race, except it doesn't really apply the other way. It doesn't apply to white people in New Mexico or California or anything like that. Only really applies to minority groups, which is unconstitutional, blatantly so. There's no need for it whatsoever. And we understand that. And you might say, well, technically Democrats might be able to draw like another district in Illinois or something like that. Or they might crack Baltimore and try to make which they can't even do with the Maryland court being full of Larry Hogan appointees. But that's besides the point. The Republicans have a lot more room to grow than the Democrats do based on this alone. And the Texas map, which still, protects technically those interests, it is VRA compliant, they're still challenging it, and they're able to get this map put on hold for some reason. How is this exactly able to stand? This whole judicial review, it's not in the United States Constitution. Judicial activism. Now, you could say that maybe these cases, you have a check from the judicial branch or whatever. Yes, but at the same time, why are you tying this up? The Texas process was done to completion, and now you're holding up, the actions of the people that the state of Texas, by and large, voted for. Doesn't really make sense. Shouldn't be that way. And it's even worse when you consider the chicken shit Republicans, these weak RINOs in places like Indiana and Utah. Utah, they handed a free seat to the Democrats. So that basically makes up for North Carolina. And here's the deal. Republicans redrew Ohio very poorly. They were already going to win 2 out of those 3 seats anyways. Now they might be able to win 1, maybe. It's ridiculous. And then North Carolina, they were already going to win that seat anyways. What do? Oh, eventually they drew the map to be redder, which is good, and they probably do pick up that seat. But it's not like we're getting long-term gains out of that. Like, it's a good thing. I'm glad it happened. North Carolina did what they had to do. But this whole process, you got Democrats getting seats like free candy in California and Utah, and very possibly Virginia, and I'm sure that you'll probably find, some Florida map that eventually gets pushed through. They're going to find something wrong with that too, because that's the way these things go, and Democrats end up netting about, 8 seats out of this whole mess. And even if they do overturn Section 2 of the VRA, it's not going to be in time. So it might be great news for 2028, but in terms of 2026, not so much, and this very likely just won Democrats the House if Republicans are unable to, fight back in time. Now, the long term of the House is completely abysmal for Democrats, but when you have weak Republicans in Indiana that don't want to move, they failed in Ohio. We'll see what happens in Florida if they even decide to move in Florida. What could happen there? But regardless, they're pushing these maps, and by the way, they don't do it the other way. California gets to have their fun. Virginia probably still going to move forward with it. Maybe there's going to be less of an incentive to now, but still, Indiana, Trump is pushing through. Primary them all. Primary all of these people. See what you can do to, can you expand these courts? Can you pack them? Enough talk about what if the other side does it. We shouldn't let them get back in power. They kill you and laugh at you. They mock you and you want to give them power. Redraw the maps. You should be removing them everywhere. If the Democrats want to be viable, they need to be the party of rural, Nebraska. If they want to be viable, they should be able to win a district like that, because whatever we're doing now isn't working. And the Democrats have opened up the floodgates of mass immigration over the years to move the Overton window to the left. The Hart-Celler Act, we saw that. Republicans should be getting 15 seats for free based off of that alone, but they're too afraid to draw a little bit of a redder map in Indiana or to have 4 red seats in a solidly red state like the state of Utah. The whole thing is a mess, for sure, but it makes it a lot harder, because if you want to talk about what could happen, this is the doomer map a little bit. We're going to doom for a second just to show you how ridiculous this is. Democrats, they get all those seats back in the state of Texas. They get 5 seats back, maybe 4 seats. But it's like the whole thing with filing deadlines and everything like that. The Democrats are going to be able to hold on to this map. There's a chance. Not saying it can't be overturned in time, but it's going to have to be very quick. The Supreme Court's going to have to move very quickly. But if you do that, and then you go into a state like, let's say even Florida. Let's say Florida plays it safe now, and they draw a map. They gain 3 Republican seats because they don't want to really, ruffle the feathers with the courts. Virginia, let's say Virginia redraws, and they draw out 1, 2, 3. We'll even say 3, if not 4 seats there. Well, the Democrats are at 212. Now, Republicans still have a shot at the House. I'm not saying they don't, but you were in a position where you were knocking on the door of 218. Now you could be all the way back to 206. Now, maybe Virginia decides to stand down. Maybe they don't redistrict, and it possibly will allow Republicans, even if they redraw a couple more seats in Florida, they let it stand. You're at 209. It's still competitive. You still have a path to the House depending on what happens between now and next November. But it's like even with Missouri, they're trying to challenge. Republicans can never win. The Democrats, they are on the way out, to be fair, in many aspects. But they're doing everything they can with the power they do have to tie up Trump's agenda in the courts. They're doing everything with the power that they do have to divide the right with psyops, take these disaffected young Trump voters and try to, promote bad faith actors, turn these people against Donald Trump, trying to make sure that these people don't vote. They promote people that tell people not to vote. And what do you think happens when they do that? Well, the Democrats win. The electorate stays the nursing home electorate. It stays like the electorate that we saw in the state of New Jersey or Virginia this past election, where Republicans, they got out enough voters, but Democrats, they know how to turn out far more of their base in an off year than the Republicans do for one reason or another. So this is a big problem. It's something that needs to be rectified, and there's just a good chance Republicans walk out of the redistricting cycle, at least in the intermediary, ahead of the midterms. Even if they do overturn Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, does seem like maybe you end up picking up like 1, 2, 3 seats, and the Dems automatically net like 5 in California, 1 in Utah, maybe Virginia. We'll wait on Florida, but they're not winning this redistricting war. Now, I will say that if this happens and then eventually the court overturns it and Republicans still manage to hold on to the House, Democrats aren't going to have any excuses. And after that, the windfall of Republican seats will come in 2028, and then the new census map in 2032. It's a 2030 census, but it's going to first apply in 2032. That's going to be abysmal for the Democrats. So there is some element of positivity here, regardless of what happens. I'm not trying to say that there's not, but it's hard to look at this and say, this is how this thing should be working. This is how this should be functional. And Democrats will say, well, Republicans didn't want to sign on to a ban of gerrymandering, so they deserve it. And it's like, do you know what was in that bill, or are you just going to play stupid like you always do? Because that bill mandated unconstitutional measures for like nationwide no excuse mail-in voting, and it would have basically had the Democrat trifecta draw the map. It would have been another California on steroids. So I'm sure we're going to get some people that say that in the comment section. It doesn't matter. We're still going to win at the end of the day. That's the mindset that we got to have. We got to stay positive. But is this a setback that's worth talking about in the meantime? Yes. Is it ridiculous? Yes. Is it the end of the world? Not necessarily, but you got to keep fighting because we don't want to get fully demoralized based on what's going on, and there still is a pathway to the House, and we still got to keep winning. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.